Traveler, hurry, have a seat. I've heard something, if you have time to listen.
This is not a story about heroes. It is a story about a girl raised in peace, by people who loved her, in a place protected by something that was never meant to care. Some secrets keep you safe, others wait. This is the Seiren. Chapter 1. The Valley. Deep in the Fairwin Mountain range sits a far, outlandish nook, settled well away from the reach of civilization. The land here is rough and unyielding, stone and slope stacked upon slope, yet tucked into its heart lies something unexpected. A farm, cradled within a bowl-shaped crevice of the mountains themselves. The range rises tall and proud on all sides, its rocky shoulders closing in protectively around the hollow. Within this natural basin, a wide, bare patch breaks the forest's grasp. Trees thin and retreat, leaving open ground where one could walk nearly to the middle of the bowl from any direction before the canopy presses close again. Though the land has been cleared and shaped by those who live below, the farm itself has endured. It has stood firm through many generations, changing very little with the passing of years. At the heart of it all stands the house. Its thatched roof glistens faintly in the early light, tightly woven straw forming a gentle cone that reaches upward, as though straining toward the sky. The straw drapes low, caressing thick limestone walls plastered smooth long ago to keep out wind, rain, and cold. That stone, milled, powdered, and set by hands long since returned to the earth, sits unmoving, sheltering the lives of countless generations who have passed beneath its roof. The house rests at the center of the valley like an anchor. From it, scattered buildings wind outward in deliberate fashion. Barns, coops, sheds, and pens arranged not for beauty, but for living. Chickens, bovine, horses, mules, and other animals sleep within those enclosures, providing for the many needs of the people who tend them. As night loosens its grip on the land, the sky above shifts from deep navy into slivers of yellow and orange, and the animals stir only faintly, still wrapped in the quiet of the early hour. Fields stretch in long, orderly squares around the perimeter of the farmstead. Dirt paths, pressed firm by hooves and wheels, run in careful lines between them, guiding horses and carts from place to place. To the north, tall stalks of corn reach toward the edge of the bowl, their leaves whispering softly against one another. To the west lie fields of beans and cabbage, destined for milling when the season turns. Eastward, greens and potatoes push up through the soil in delicate, patient rows, running nearly to the narrowing neck of the sloped mountain wall. And to the south, melon fields sprawl outward, bursting with varied colors and sizes, heavy with promise. Beyond even these fields, farther out where the valley begins to rise again, are the grazing grounds for sheep. The grass there is kept short by wandering mouths, the stock moved and penned with practiced care. In the early morning, the sheep bleated impatiently, waiting for their master to lead them into the hills beyond, where greener pastures await. The sun lifted itself slowly over the horizon, unhurried, warming the earth as it woke from its long rest. The surrounding forest remained serene and silent. Frozen dew clung to leaves and branches, and as the first rays of light filtered through the thick canopy, it could almost be heard. Dew melting, drip by gentle drip. As the light climbed higher, spilling fully into the valley, it seemed almost to linger, as though trying to catch a closer glimpse of the fey-like creature who walked so easily beneath it. Kaylee made her way down the small dirt path leading from the white stone house toward the hen hutch. The path was familiar beneath her feet, worn smooth by years of morning walks just like this one. The basket rested against her hip, light for now, swinging gently with each step. The hutch sat low to the ground, no taller than she was, and scarcely wider than her height. It was an old structure, settled into the earth as though it had grown there rather than been built. Without hesitation, without thought, she reached for the rusted U-shaped handle and gave it a firm pull. The wood creaked in protest. A rush of sound burst outward as the door opened, hens clucking sharply, feathers rustling, bodies shifting in the sudden spill of morning air. Kaylee stepped up onto the single worn stair and into the dim interior. Inside, the light fell away quickly, swallowed by shadow and the closeness of the space. She breathed slowly through her nose. The musty scent of straw and feathers lingered thick in the air, though it was bearable today. The bedding had been changed only 2 days prior. Every 4th day the smell was overpowering, but not today. She blinked once, twice, and her eyes adjusted, catching every stray thread of light until the cramped space seemed almost bright. She shuffled forward, shoulders slightly hunched to avoid brushing the low shelves. The hens perched along handcrafted rows, shelves cobbled together and sagging comfortably under years of use. There was barely enough room for her to turn around without bumping into them. 7 rows rose along the walls, each holding 8 or 9 hens. Every one was different. Some glared at her with beady black eyes, others barely stirred, already resigned to the routine. They knew what time it was. They knew why she had come. Straw lined the floor beneath her feet. Kaylee moved carefully, half kicking and half stepping through it as she went. A few hens hopped down and scurried out through the small cutout at the back of the hutch, slipping into the open air to come and go as they pleased. She envied them. Carefully, she reached beneath the nearest fat hen and drew out a warm egg. Her movements were practiced, gentle. She clicked her tongue softly, a small, unconscious habit, as she laid the egg into her basket. One by one, she placed them in neat circular patterns, minimizing movement, minimizing risk. Her mother's voice echoed faintly in her memory. Waste not, want not. As she worked, Kaylee turned each egg slowly beneath her fingers, checking for cracks. She had learned long ago how to do her chores properly. It was one of many habits formed through repetition and expectation. The air tickled her nose. She sneezed. The sound rang out far louder than she meant it to. Her breath caught instantly, and she froze, wide-eyed. Around her, several heads snapped up in alarm. One hen stood, stretched her thickly feathered body, fixed Kaylee with a hard stare, then settled back down again. Kaylee exhaled slowly, releasing the breath she had been holding. The cows were stirring more than usual by the time Kaylee reached the barn. She paused just inside the wide wooden doors, listening as the animals shifted and snorted, heavy bodies pressing against stools and rails. The scent hit her immediately. Hay and dust, warm animal musk, and somewhere beneath it all, the sharp tang of manure. She wrinkled her nose and stepped inside. The barn was dim but familiar, its beams dark with age, its floor layered with straw that whispered softly beneath her slippers. She set the milking stool down beside the first heifer and eased herself onto it, the bucket settling between her knees with practiced care. Pulling her green wool gown up above her knees, Kaylee took a steadying breath of her own. She rolled up the wide sleeves that too often dipped where they shouldn't. If they fell into the bucket, she would smell sour for the rest of the day, and sour was not becoming of her. She adjusted her stance, leaning forward, elbows resting against her knees. With one hand, she petted the fuzzy brown flank of the heifer, murmuring softly. With the other, she wrapped her fingers around a teat and pulled downward, firm but gentle. Milk splashed into the wooden bucket. The sound was rhythmic, familiar, comforting. Once the cow calmed beneath her touch, Kaylee moved her other hand into place. Her fingers worked in smooth, practiced motions, drawing milk forth in steady pulses. The cow chewed her cud lazily, sides rising and falling with each deep breath. Kaylee hummed as she worked. It was the same tune her mother hummed in the kitchen, a melody passed down through years of quiet mornings. One cow at a time, she soothed them all, moving only when the bucket was full. The animals were creatures of routine, just as she was, and she would not break the trust they placed in her. She stood, lifting the bucket in one hand and the stool in the other, and moved on to the next cow. This one stamped once, then twice, irritated by the disturbance. Kaylee stroked her flank again, whispering until the animal settled. Milk splashed, hooves stilled. She continued on like this, her hands moving from memory as her thoughts drifted. Wolfgar, are you there? She sent the thought outward, gentle and familiar. The echo of her voice rippled through her mind, traveling beyond her body, beyond the barn. It sank deep into the soil beneath her feet, spreading like roots searching for water. Magic answered magic. All morning she had felt it, the shadow at the edge of her thoughts, that quiet pull that told her he was near. She did not need to see him to know. Next time, curiosity becomes a mistake. A voice answers from the dark. Something moves beneath the mountain. And when the forest erupts, Kaylee will learn the cost of running too far from home.
Wasn't that interesting? Now don't forget to subscribe for more.
And ring the bell for your server.